The archaeological dig had been routine until the team unearthed the centuries-old knight's armor encased in dirt and rust. It stood as a silent sentinel of history. Dr. Collins, the lead archaeologist, approached with excitement and reverence, his mind racing with the stories this artifact might reveal. As he peered inside the helmet, his heart nearly stopped, unable to believe what he was seeing. Something about the armor stirred his curiosity. It wasn't just the age or the craftsmanship, it was the aura of mystery that seemed to cling to it. As he crouched down for a closer look, his breath caught in his throat. The armor's intricate designs were barely visible beneath the grime, but Dr. Collins knew it was a rare find. He called for his assistant, but the words seemed to stick in his throat. A growing sense of unease gnawed at him as he lifted the helmet. Adjusting his gloves, his fingers brushed against something that didn't belong, smooth, delicate, almost hidden. The parchment was sealed with an old wax stamp, its symbol faded but still discernible. What could be so important that it had been hidden away inside a knight's helmet for centuries? The team gathered around as Dr. Collins slowly opened the parchment, their eyes fixed on his every movement. His hands trembled slightly as he carefully unfolded the delicate paper. The writing was in a language he didn't immediately recognize, but the urgency in the words was unmistakable. A shiver ran down his spine as he realized the parchment wasn't just a letter, it was a warning. Dr. Collins tucked the parchment into his jacket, unwilling to share what he had found just yet. His assistant, Sarah, noticed his unease and gave him a questioning glance, but he waved her off with a forced smile. "Just old writing," he muttered, trying to downplay his discovery. Yet his mind was racing, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this was the start of something dangerous. As the day wore on, Dr. Collins remained distant, his thoughts consumed by the letter hidden in his jacket. That evening, he locked himself in his tent, spreading the letter on the table before him. He had a few references that might help him decipher the language, but it would take time. As he worked late into the night, he felt the presence of the letter growing larger in his mind, its message gnawing at his consciousness. Dr. Collins hardly slept, his dreams haunted by the knight's armor and the secrets it guarded. By morning, the camp was buzzing with activity, but he could barely focus. He had decoded a small portion of the letter, enough to understand its grave implications. As the day began, he resolved to keep the discovery to himself for now. With dawn breaking, Dr. Collins knew he needed expert help. The contents of the parchment were too cryptic, its language too ancient for him to decipher alone. He reached for his phone and discreetly contacted Dr. Emily Harris, a trusted linguistics professor. "Emily, I need your help with something big," he said, his voice tinged with urgency. After a brief explanation, she agreed to meet him at a local cafe near the dig site. Dr. Collins arrived early at the cafe, his mind racing with thoughts. When Dr. Harris walked in, her curiosity was evident. They exchanged brief pleasantries before he handed her the parchment. Emily's eyes widened with interest as she carefully unfolded it, her fingers tracing the ancient script. "This is a significant find, Dr. Collins," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the clinking coffee cups. "But we need more context to understand it fully." Her words hung heavy in the air, adding weight to the document they both knew was far more than just aged parchment. "We should keep this between us," Dr. Collins suggested. Dr. Harris nodded in agreement. As they left the cafe, the gravity of their task loomed over them. This secret could change everything they knew about history. That evening found Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris hunched over ancient texts and linguistic references in a dimly lit room. "This phrase here," Dr. Harris pointed out, "seems to be a form of Old English but with elements I've never seen." Piece by piece, they began decoding parts of the letter. Slowly, the cryptic lines revealed snippets of information, driving their curiosity further. The contents of the letter became clearer. It spoke of a high-ranking noble's betrayal and a plot to overthrow a king, events that radically altered history. "This isn't just significant, it's monumental," Dr. Harris exclaimed, astonished. "We need to store this securely for further examination," Dr. Collins suggested. They agreed, understanding the implications of such a find. A secure storage arrangement was made, hidden from prying eyes and potential thieves. Better safe than sorry, Dr. Harris said, locking the storage unit. The sense of danger was palpable, but so was their commitment to uncovering the truth. Back at the dig site, rumors about the knight's armor began to circulate among the team. Whispers of hidden secrets and historical treasures buzzed in the air, raising the tension. Dr. Collins stayed tight-lipped, his demeanor more guarded than usual. Sarah, Dr. Collins's assistant, grew particularly curious about his secretive behavior. "What's going on with you, Dr. Collins?" she asked, trying to pry for information. He evaded her questions, offering only vague responses. "Just routine work," he muttered. But Sarah wasn't convinced. She watched him with growing suspicion. Interrupting his thoughts, Dr. Collins received a mysterious phone call from an unidentified number. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, but the message was chillingly clear: "Be careful who you trust." He glanced around, uneasy, the warning echoing in his mind. Could someone already know about their discovery? Determined to protect their find, Dr. Collins rented a secure storage unit in a nearby town, telling only Dr. Harris. "We need to work undisturbed," he told her, handing her the key. She nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just about historical curiosity anymore. It was about security and potential ramifications far beyond their imagination. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris drove to the storage unit, the precious parchment safely in hand. They set up their workspace meticulously, knowing that one wrong move could damage the fragile document. "Handle it carefully," Dr. Collins advised as they unpacked it, laying it flat on the table. They examined the parchment once more, the room silent, but for the sound of their breathing and the rustling of old paper. As they analyzed the parchment more deeply, names and locations crucial to the letter's plot began to emerge. Each discovery seemed to raise the stakes higher. They knew they had to cross-reference the places mentioned in the parchment with historical records. Dr. Collins felt his heart pounding as he read an email warning them of threats related to their discovery. Dr. Collins decided to contact local law enforcement. He dialed the police station, speaking with a calm yet urgent tone. "We'll provide surveillance without drawing attention," Officer Reynolds assured him. Dr. Collins felt a flicker of relief but knew their secret was still vulnerable. With police surveillance discreetly in place, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris resumed decoding the letter. Their concentration was undeterred by the lurking danger. The added layer of security provided a bit of comfort, allowing them to focus more intently. Excitement surged as they deciphered the final crucial parts of the parchment. "It's a royal conspiracy," Dr. Harris said, piecing together the timeline. The betrayal in the parchment had ripple effects that extended into the present, threatening influential institutions. Their initial excitement was now mingled with caution. They knew revealing this information came with significant risks. "We have to be careful," Dr. Harris advised, fully aware of the potential repercussions. Just as they pieced together the significance of their discovery, Mark, a rival, ambushed them, his intentions clear. "Hand over the parchment," he demanded, eyes gleaming with greed. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris were caught off guard, but they stood firm. "We know what you're up to," Dr. Collins countered, clutching the parchment protectively. Just as the situation seemed dire, Officer Reynolds appeared, his presence a timely intervention. He quickly subdued Mark, whose defiance melted into resignation. The following morning, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris presented their findings to government historians. The gravity of their discovery was immediately acknowledged. Journalists and experts alike listened intently as they revealed the centuries-old conspiracy they had painstakingly decoded. Dr. Collins was hailed as a hero for his invaluable contribution to historical knowledge. Awards and accolades flowed in, but he couldn't shake a feeling of caution. Historians began drawing parallels between past betrayals and contemporary issues, causing a stir among scholars and officials alike. The team's discovery eventually went public, reshaping historical narratives and uncovering centuries-old secrets. Amid the widespread attention, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris knew their work was far from over. They felt a strange mix of pride and apprehension as ancient truths finally came to light, waiting to see what would unfold next. Despite the public reveal, Officer Reynolds continued to provide protection, understanding the lingering risks. "We're not out of the woods yet," he warned, his demeanor somber but determined. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris traveled extensively, sharing their story with academic and public audiences. Their presentations captivated listeners, and they emphasized the profound implications of their discovery, underscoring the need for vigilance in historical research. Their discovery quickly became a cornerstone in historical research, with academics worldwide delving into the newly revealed data. Journals buzzed with articles dissecting the find, and universities adjusted curricula to include this groundbreaking information. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris watched with pride, knowing their efforts had changed historical understanding forever. Undeterred by past threats, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris continued exploring hidden corners of history. They took on new projects, each discovery fueling their passion. "There's always more to uncover, Doctor," Collins said, eyes gleaming with determination. Their unwavering dedication ensured that significant parts of history would be preserved for future generations. Their work underscored the delicate balance between revealing hidden truths and ensuring their protection, guiding a new era of cautious and conscientious historical research. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris knew that while they had safeguarded the past, the future of historical exploration would need similar tenacity and care.